We offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
We have serious problems to solve, and we need serious people to solve them.
Republicans and Democrats working together.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. That one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
All right, folks, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be. I am Double R, and this is Finding Common Ground. I'm joined today by my co-host, Dave, and I'll give him a minute to say good morning. All right, folks, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be. I am Double R, and this is... Well, yeah, I like Art Bell, so I'll take that. Okay, well, the good news is they can hear you, but now they can barely hear you. And I'm getting some feedback. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but it's making me cranky. Okay, well, the good news is they can hear you. I mean, they can hear me really well for once. Normally when we do this, I sound like crap, and you sound great. Whatever, sir. I'm gonna try something real quick, see if this fixes it. Okay, let's try saying something now. Except now I don't think we're broadcasting at all. This is so much fun. See, and I don't get it because it's listening to the right device, but we're not broadcasting at all now. If I don't have it playing through my speakers, which doesn't work at all, because then I get all kinds of feedback, when before I could tie it through my headset and it didn't care. Well, this really sucks. just wish I knew what was going on. Because, yeah, we're not broadcasting at all. Something is not right somewhere. Because all they're getting now is a bunch of feedback because I can hear it through my speakers. I really wish I knew what was going on. I think adding this USB headset to the mix has changed something. Because, yeah, we're not doing anything but a bunch of dead air right now. This is probably what we sound like all the time. I just don't understand why it's doing this. I am really confused. Well, I guess we're going to have to try to test this out a little bit ahead of time. The next time we can try to do this, because something's screwing it up with the USB. And I don't know what it is. Let me try one last thing. I'm gonna go back to the old standby. Hang on. Well, no, screw it. I'm kind of pissed off now. That, and I'd have to still go through and change all the settings again anyway. I just don't know why this is not working. I did everything the way the dumbass said to do it. The only thing that's different is I'm trying to put the sound through my headset instead of the speakers. But for some reason when I do that, it stops broadcasting. Which really doesn't make any sense at all, because I can see the levels coming up when we talk. So the system is hearing us, it's just not going out, which makes no sense. I'm really, really, really confused. Does not make sense. Everything's working there. Playback's fine there. Yeah, that's really weird, because when I play something through the speakers, I can hear it. But for some reason, it's not going out over the air. Because, I mean, I can still hear you just fine. And I can hear noises when I click on things. Why is it not working? Because the speaker test works just fine. I think it has something to do with the volume levels that I have to use. So we're going to try this just to see what happens. I figure I can always go back and edit some of this out if we can actually make this work. See, that doesn't make any sense because those levels are still fine. But it's like it loses you unless I don't pipe them through my speakers instead of my headset. Okay. I think I might have gotten it figured it out, but I can't tell because I still can't hear anything. Let me try backing up. Clicking on it again. I don't understand. Nope, actually, I'm broadcasting. Say something. I don't understand. It's got about a 5-second delay. Hang on. Nope, actually, I'm broadcasting. Say something. That was me. Or that was the recording. It's got about a 5-second delay. Hang on. Talk for about 30 seconds. Just say whatever. I want to see if I can hear you.
Talk for about 30 seconds, say whatever. Saying whatever and talking. That was the recording about wrestling stuff.
It's got about a 5-second delay. Hang on. Talk for about 30 seconds. Just say whatever. I want to see if I can hear you.
Talk for about 30 seconds, say whatever.
I can hear you again now, but your levels are low.
How you did it before. Because I remember episodes where we had no problems finding stuff to talk about. I'm sitting here today going, or something.
Okay, well, they can now hear you about as good as I can get it for now. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro and stuff again, because then I can just cut the other crap off. And then that'll give me a chance to go back and listen and see just how low you are, so I can figure out how to fix it for future episodes. So, this show, take 3, rolling again right now.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
We have serious problems to solve, and we need serious people to solve them.
Republicans and Democrats working together.
It's common ground.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. That one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
You are now tuned into the Bush Leagues of Talk Radio, right here on the all-new K98 Talk.
Alright, folks, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. I am Double R, and for those of you who've been listening for the last few minutes, that last part will be getting edited out. We had a little bit of a technical issue. I am again joined today by my co-host and partner in crime, otherwise known as Dave, and this is, again, Finding Common Ground. So, okay, a lot of bit of a technical issue. Shut it. Yeah, well, we may suck, but at least we don't swallow. I'll leave that up to you, because I'm not down with that.
Come on, after sucking some great juices out of a piece of steak, you're gonna
There's entirely too much blood in my caffeine stream this morning.
speaking of, I love this stuff this is day 3. God, I sound
Hi, my name's Dave, and I'm a caffeineaholic. It's been 3 days since my last cup of coffee.
what actually did it for me this time. Well, 2 things. One, I was at Bed Bath & Beyond recently with my daughter looking around and got on the scales there. I was like 263 pounds. I was like, and I used to weigh that, and then I stopped drinking Coke for over a year, and I dropped 30 pounds. And that's all I did is I stopped drinking soda. I basically drank water and juice, and so that made me decide to start cutting back. So I was allowing myself an icy a day, and then for some reason I started getting really upset stomachs for a few days, like a lot of nausea. I really thought I was gonna barf. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm done. Not doing it anymore. For now, at least. I'm sure at some point I'll break and have to have Coke.
Especially after you hang out with me for the next hour or so, you're going to be like, damn it, I need a soda. I didn't even know you still smoked.
I've never actually smoked. I've never been a smoker. But occasionally, if the stress would get to me to a certain extent, that you light with fire and pull that smokiness into my lungs, which then would cough a lot. But it would help calm the nerves a little bit. Guess if I was smart enough, so I could start smoking.
Then again, you just die from smoking, so...
And if I'm gonna do that, I might as well go for something that's actually gonna make me relax and just get the ganja. Just go for a run.
Ah, going for the ganja.
Munchies worse than I already do. So that's not gonna work.
Yeah, munchies are bad.
Apparently, in good news, sales of Doritos and Oreos have skyrocketed.
Interesting. Speaking of which, before we get too far in, actually the one I'm about to do is probably going to be worse. But I do have one little thing I want to play that sadly you won't be able to hear. Just so you know what it is, it's just the NFL opening song, because I have a couple things I want to talk about from the games yesterday. Just 'cause. It's almost over, man. It's almost over. Alright, so for those of you following along, of course, the Broncos won their game yesterday. It was rather exciting to watch. I'm honestly really not that big of a football fan, but I do start following along with the professional stuff usually around playoffs, only because at least then when it comes up around the water cooler, I can actually participate in the conversations. This has been an interesting year, though, because there are a lot of teams that I actually do like that were in the running. Broncos is actually one of my probably top 4 favorite teams. Seahawks is probably in my top 2, only because I used to live in Seattle. The one thing that really disappointed me about the Seahawks San Fran game, because San Fran's my number 3, was I would have liked to have seen the Seahawks win without so much help from the refs. The other interesting point that I've seen popping up on a lot of libertarian Facebook pages is apparently when you legalize pot, you become NFL champions. I thought that was an interesting take on it.
That is, I never would have thought of it that way, but I would think that being stoned while playing football would not work out well. But maybe it does.
Oh, come on, man. They can't feel the pain from the hits. I don't know. I just, like I said, I saw that on like 4 different libertarian Facebook pages last night after the games were over. They were like, hey, legalize pot, become the AFC and NFC champions.
I mean, I'm glad the Seahawks are there, I guess.
Only because now we don't have to hear Steve whine. Only because now we don't have to hear Steve whine.
Well, yeah, he's happy. Of course, he's probably overturned right now by
I saw that. I was like, dude, that's like out of nowhere, because I saw him like cheering on the Seahawks, and then I got up this morning and he's like at the ER dealing with kidney stones. I was like, ouch.
best kidney stone story. It's not mine. Nothing.
That's why it's the best kidney stone story, because it did not happen to you.
So far, he was in the process of passing kidney stones. And he was making his another time that happened this weekend. And right at the moment he passes his kidney stone and screams at the top of his lungs.
Oh. Wow. I think I'd have at least given him the moment.
Imagine what a horrible time to pass a kidney stone. Might scar you for life.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
It's a good story.
So speaking of Seattle, because that actually does tie into one of the stories I wanted to talk about, apparently the healthcare exchange website in Washington is redirecting some folks by phone to a pottery store. I thought, yeah. Let me just read the little snippet I took from it. Critics say wrong number is latest failure of the medical health exchange. Hundreds of website users called Seattle pottery business. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown testifies to House Health and Government Committee about wait, hang on. Why did it say Seattle and Maryland's health exchange? Oh wait, never mind. This is in Maryland, and the website was directing folks to call a Seattle business, and it happened to be a pottery company. Guess it would help if I scanned ahead before I started trying to read. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown testifies to House Health and Government Barbara Haddock Taylor, July 18, 2014. Critics said Saturday that the latest problems hit Maryland's online health exchange, an incorrect helpline number that directed hundreds of callers to a Seattle-based pottery business, was another symptom of the poorly operating website. Can we just throw this thing out everywhere and just start over? I mean, come on. There's like 4 or 5 really good things that happened from Obamacare. I'm even willing to let him have the name and let us keep the 4 or 5 good things that happened. But the rest of this could have been done so much better.
Yeah, I agree that for the few provisions in the law that are really good probably could have been implemented in other ways. So it's, and I have to admit,
No, we had this discussion. It's not the You'll Be Poor plan. There are 3 plans available for Obamacare. There's the You Don't Need Food plan, there's the Who Needs Clothes and Shelter plan, and then there's the You Be Screwed plan. You're part of the You Be Screwed plan because you can't even find the ones you're eligible for.
You're probably right, because it's the ones that were there were all the least expensive, like about $260. I just can't afford it.
That's crazy, though. I mean, think about that. Even if you were getting paid like we used to get paid at Southwest on the 15th and the 20th, you'd be looking at $130 a paycheck that would be getting taken out for insurance if it was offered through there.
When we worked at The Verge, God rest his soul, when we worked at The Verge, when I first signed up for insurance, I picked one, not the ultra cheap one, which is what I love for the second year, but I picked the least expensive one otherwise, and it was taking a good $200 out of every paycheck by the time everything was all said and done. Insurance and a little bit of taxes were coming out, because again, poor at all. But it was a good $200 out of every paycheck. And so from that standpoint, when I look at these things and I'm like, wow, that crap's expensive, I also think, well, a lot of times when you have a job and you have insurance, especially insurance with your family, it's going to be taking $100 to $200 at least out of every paycheck anyway. But I can't pony up that kind of money right now. Shoot.
You'd have to have that kind of money before you could pony it up.
Exactly. That's something that I don't have. Hey, so local politics. Senator Coburn is stepping down, and it looks like Rep. Langford is going to be running for his seat.
Yeah, him and a list of about 12 other people.
Apparently, Tom Cole is not, and neither is Attorney General Pruitt is not. I'm almost surprised Queen Mary's not going to take a stab at it, but she'll probably stay as Queen of the state for as long as she can.
I heard Todd Lamb was considering it. Or Todd Lamb, or whatever the first name of the lieutenant governor is. I don't have it pulled up right now. I know his last name's Lamb. I remember that much.
Yeah, he's the lieutenant governor. It's going to come down to probably whoever the highest profile GOP candidate is that announces will probably win. Because that's pretty much how statewide elections run at this point anymore. The highest profile GOP candidate wins. I mean, look what happened when Randy Brogdon ran against Queen Mary for the GOP nomination for governor last time around. He lost handily, and he's given it a shot again, apparently. And I suspect he's going to lose again handily because he already bequeathed the throne of Oklahoma to Queen Mary, and she will enjoy that space for as long as she can. And until then, she'll probably just walk over and inherit whatever other position she so desires in the state, and it'll get handed to her. And she's a high-profile Republican.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right, unfortunately. There've been a few things that she's done that I really wish she wasn't there for.
Overall, she hasn't been a terrible governor because, generally speaking, she hasn't done it. I mean, there are a couple little things here and there, and other than saying just some really ridiculously stupid stuff, she really hasn't done much. Thankfully.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Anymore, every freaking politician puts their foot in their mouth. It's just become commonplace.
Well, and to be fair to them, if any one of us lived with 24/7 cameras and microphones in our faces, can you imagine if that happened to either you or me? Oh my God, it would make the whole Duck Dynasty thing look like a cakewalk.
You're probably right, sadly.
Lord knows I have said stupid things that idiot said.
I can attest to that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, many of which have been said on the show.
Do you realize we've been doing this for almost a year?
Wow, really?
Yeah, remember our first show was towards the beginning of February.
Wow. Yeah, that was a mess. On cell phones and everything.
Yeah, honestly, I almost threw in the towel after that first one. It's like, yeah, we're gonna suck at this for forever. Oh wait, crap.
That's the truth. We still suck.
Hey, we got some pretty good feedback there for a while, and then we changed platforms, and then for the last couple of weeks, or last month, I've been in the middle of a job change, and I've had both the regular flu and the stomach flu making rounds in my house, so it's been rather difficult to find any airtime. A lazy bastard.
Pretty much. My generation started to make sure you force that. And, yep, it was good times.
Yeah, well, just remember, we actually have sponsors lined up. When we start doing shows regularly, we could actually start making a little bit of money. He's not.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. It's one of those things, when it rains, it pours. So you get this new gig, and so you're in flux. And I'm at the moment desperately looking for a second job or a full-time job to get by because we're drowning financially. And as much as admittedly I kind of enjoy only working part-time, not gonna lie, that's kind of nice. The paychecks are actually about to get worse because our fiscal year has started over in July. And so because of that and the way that the budget works and everything, they're going to have to really hold us to 18 to 20 hours a week instead of us pulling about 30 for a while there. And so there's a pretty big difference between.
Dang, that was practically a full-time job for you.
Yeah, I mean, really. My last two jobs, really.
I know, right? See, I've never actually taken advantage of FMLA. I could, I just don't normally get it.
It was a godsend for me at the Verge because I truly have, or I'm pretty sure I still have a doctor in edges, and so can't afford to, but I have blood pressure issues, so I needed it. And anyone who's worked in that hellhole will understand. And so speaking of local news, for those of you who don't, Oklahoma City metro area, anyone listening, if you're not going to care, but that's okay. So Convergence had a call center, and I say had because it was closing in Moore, Oklahoma, which is just a suburb of Oklahoma City. And it had been around since what, like 96, 97?
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, like 15 years at least. And it is closing its doors. So apparently the story, as I have heard, and the Daily Oklahoman ran a story on it, and unfortunately News OK wouldn't let me read all of it. Stupid. Apparently Sam's Club came in, and whoever owns the property that building is on offered them a better deal than Convergys was paying for it. And so good of a deal, in fact, that Convergys didn't even get a chance to count it. I mean, they got moved out of there, which is actually quite ironic and fitting, really. It's kind of poetic.
Yeah, considering the way they treat people, it was kind of interesting to see them get treated the same.
I know, I like that. But there was talk for a while that they were looking for a new location. And how much of that is actually accurate, I don't know. But apparently it was then decided that no, they're just going to shut it down. There were two. Convergys is an outsourcing be working from home, still taking calls and whatnot. The DirecTV people were given hey, thanks for being here, but deuces. We're done. Now, I did also hear that they're not going to fight any claims for unemployment. So people that do the unemployment thing will not get any feedback or kickback from the employers, which is good. And they did give them, what, a month and a half notice?
Yeah, about that.
So it could have been a lot worse. I mean, I'm almost surprised they just didn't throw it in one day and go, get your crap and go. We're done. So it'll, I mean, there's been grumblings for what?
Years.
It's going to close down. And I don't know how much of that was actual legitimate possibilities or just a disgruntled nature of the employees.
From as cranky as all the management got, being a former member of management, I'm pretty sure that somebody somewhere knew something, because you have to remember, Lisco, the site director who was removed, if it wasn't for the fact that they brought in a fixer, we probably would have shut down a couple of years ago. Because that's what the guy that they brought in after him actually did. He goes to really bad places and turns them around, and then if he does it right, they give him a promotion, which is exactly what happened. Carney. And yeah, he was there for, well, almost a year.
And you know, it was so funny though. When the site director Lisco got key, which is basically what happened, they at least did him a solid and let him leave with some dignity. You know, they were like, okay, you're gonna have to be gone by this day. You can say goodbye to people, and it was surprising because normally the way someone gets canned in that joint, it is, hey, go ahead and clock into coaching and follow me.
And they couldn't have him clock into coaching.
5 minutes later, another piece of man walks over to the desk, grabs a person's crap, and leaves.
I had to do that a lot. I didn't like that. Had to do the sweep.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised that place stayed open as long as it did, really. For one, at some point, they're going to run out of people to keep hiring. Other than recent high school graduates, which they were milking like crazy.
What I used to love about the recent high school graduates is they would come in during the summer hiring, work for training for like 6 weeks, and then go to college and be like, deuces.
That's what they do it, man. I will say, I had the best trainer I've ever had in any call center. Let's say at Convergence. And I forget the dude's name. He was also my case management trainer. Yeah, but he was fantastic. He was a really, really good trainer. So they actually had one decent thing there, but that was about it.
See, when I first started, I really didn't mind Convergence very much. But I never actually worked in a call center before, so it was kind of nice because, you know, the work I did before, people were yelling at you in your face. I actually got in trouble by my first TL there, which was Adam Kuttner. I got in trouble because I had a guy threaten me, and on an open line, I literally laughed in his face. And yeah, my boss didn't like that very much. And he monitored the call like 2 weeks later, and he's like, we need to talk about this one during coaching. He's like, why would you do that? I was like, dude, the guy's like 2,000 miles away from me threatening to kill me. We're talking over a phone. You have no idea where I am, and you're going to threaten to kill me. Sorry, I found that a little humorous, because usually when people threaten to kill me, it was to my face.
For me, that was my third call center, and the second longest. I worked there the second longest of all of them. In fact, Southwest was one I worked at the least amount of
Dude, did you hear? Oh, wait, yeah, you heard about it. You were the one that sent me the article right after I found it. I can't believe that actually happened, though, because I was I was still working there when a pilot for Boeing that has like the big 787, they have a plane that they use to ferry parts back and forth. And a couple of months before I left, the Boeing pilot actually landed at the wrong airport, and everybody was laughing and pointing in the break room. And then a couple months later, all of a sudden, it's one of their planes, and they're landing at the wrong airport.
And then they also there was an accident recently or something.
Yeah, a pilot nosed down a little too hard during landing, and the nose gear collapsed.
And then there was the whole "we're going down."
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it could have been the beginning of a very interesting film. That I'm sure there have been ones that have started like that. Of the seemingly adult, low quality nature.
Hey, you said seemingly adult. Somebody cue the 70s disco music. Hey, I did have something that kind of fit in, because you said earlier that you have issues with blood pressure. Apparently, there's been a recent study done, and it says exposure to sunlight may lower your blood pressure.
That's my
It says just 20 minutes of ultraviolet A sunlight lowered blood pressure by a small but significant amount in 24 volunteers. They report in the Journal of Investigative Dermatology. Further checks suggest the sun does this by increasing levels of nitric oxide, a chemical linked to blood flow.
That makes me want to go sit outside. They have to do that until it's blazingly hot outside. Walk out, you feel like you walked into a sauna.
I'm melting!
No kidding. I hate that time of year. And then there's also this.
See, I normally hate that kind of year, and so or that time of year, until we're in this time of year, and then I miss that time of year.
See, I don't, because I would much rather be bitterly cold than hotter than hell.
Well, that's because you're already bitter, so you're halfway there.
To me, it's a no-brainer. Oh, but I mean, now granted, I don't want to be like Minnesota cold, or like what the Northeast was dealing with that 30 below crap. No.
You said Minnesota.
Minnesota. I didn't even do it on purpose. But yeah, when it gets like for a while, that streak where we were sitting at like 12 degrees, that sucked. That was cold. But if it's between 12 and 105 with 95% humidity, I'm gonna take 12. Because there's always more clothes I can put on. There's always so much I can actually take off.
Nice. You could take off whatever you want, at least once.
I don't want to torture other people, man. Do unto others, and I do not want this done to them.
I figure if they don't like what I have on, they can turn away.
Well, yeah, that is fine. But I'm also not going to be one of those chub-a-dubs that walks around with barely anything covering my hoo-ha. Because that's just not right. It's just not right. You don't do that to people.
You know you're making me feel self-conscious now, right?
Well, that's how it sees it. Just did the Sue season, which my daughter and I have been watching Glee. We like watch TV shows together before bed. Like it's kind of our nightly thing. We sit down and we watch whatever show we're following at the moment. And most of it's through Netflix. And
I has Roku now. Love Netflix.
Actually, we inherited an HD TV. So we finally have an HD TV.
You has a HD now?
No, well, our off-air antenna's an HD. episodes that I have and got in a new bed, we're going to.
Bow chicka wow wow. Oh, sorry.
Maybe that would help my blood pressure.
Probably.
But I'm going to get there's this Blu-ray player, and you can put Netflix on it, Hulu Plus, and everything, because that's Netflix and Hulu Plus, the 18 best dollars.
See, I tried the Netflix or the Hulu Plus free trial when we got the Roku. I was kind of disappointed because some of the shows that I watch are actually not on Hulu Plus. I was kind of saddened by that.
The biggest problem with Hulu Plus is that it does not have a contract with CBS.
Well, no, neither does regular Hulu, but my point is there are shows that I can watch on my computer that are not available on the Roku, which I didn't think made any sense since I'm actually paying to use the Roku. Well, it's remember Days? Yeah, it's on Hulu, but I can't find it anywhere on the Roku on Hulu Plus.
I mean, there are some shows that they only have the rights to show them online and not through other devices.
But it's still technically online.
I don't even get me started with those contracts. I don't get it. But luckily for me, I mean, just pretty much everything I watch, with the exception of How I Met Your Mother, which I am so wishing I could be watching right now. I haven't bothered watching it online. But everything else that I watch, I can follow on Hulu. So Arrow, which has been so effing amazing this season.
Yeah, I gotta get caught up. I think I'm about an episode or two behind now.
Have you seen anything with Barry Allen yet?
Yeah, I saw the birth moment of the Flash.
Yeah, one episode behind. Oh, that was the best episode of that series.
See, but since I've had the Roku and half my house has been sick, so I couldn't even get to my computer to do any show prep, I've been like binge watching Chuck and Alias back and forth.
I've watched Alias, the entire series, start to finish, at least 4 times. If I start watching that show, I know that show backwards and forwards. It is one of my top 5 all-time favorite shows. I can't stop watching it.
Yeah.
It is that effing good.
Well, I really followed it during the first season, and then I think they moved it or something, or it started conflicting with my work schedule because I used to work nights when it was on. So there was a lot of it that I missed.
What season are you watching right now?
Well, I'm almost to the end of season 1. I watched it like 2 or 3 episodes, and then I was like, hey, this is kind of cool, but I remember most of this, and then I remembered that I'd never actually watched Chuck. So for like 4 days running, I'm like episode after episode after episode, so I'm already on like season 4 for that one. And my wife's like, what the hell are you watching? I'm like, go back to your room, I'm quarantined from there.
Things about Chuck. I've never actually seen it.
It's on Netflix.
I need to actually watch that. But
You gotta get past about the first 5 episodes, because the thing about it is, it's kind of like Alias, but campy.
okay, I would probably enjoy that. My thing is, right at the moment, I'm not going to dive into too much else until this current season because there are times if I get backed up in my shows,
You said backed up.
I get a little antsy, and then I forget what the hell I've watched. And so one of the things.
So wait, hang on, back this up. If you don't watch your shows, you get antsy?
Sometimes you just never know what's going on.
So wait, basically what you're saying is you are a TV-aholic.
Yes. I'm not proud. So here's the rundown of what I'm watching this season. Arrow, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Vampire Diaries, the originals, Once Upon a Time, Grimm, Sleepy Hollow, Almost Human, Revolution, Glee, Raising Hope.
See, you had me in so Glee.
Oh, because Glee is awesome, dude.
No. I've not ever watched a single episode. Don't plan on it.
Especially the first couple of seasons, the early stuff was really, really good.
Well, I figured it was going to go into a tailspin when, what's his name, did what he did.
It was actually starting to not be as good before that. Because the first 3 seasons, everyone's in high school, and then there's this group of the characters who were all seniors that graduated. And so in the 4th season, it followed, really, 2 of them went to New York and are going to school in the school home Miata in New York. So it's following them in New York and still following what's going on in the high school with the new kids coming into the Glee Club. And it's, it just wasn't as, I don't know, something special about it. Was lost or something. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something definitely different between the 4th and 5th season and the 3 previous seasons. Luckily, next season will be the last, so they're going to be able to not go on for too much longer and make it completely suck. But seriously, the first season is phenomenal. The humor is off the hook. I mean, Sue Sylvester, played by Jane Lynch, is brilliant. I mean, she is so bitingly hilarious. Just watch. You've got Netflix. Watch the pilot.
No.
It's not really gay, okay? If you think you're going to lose man points, which I'm not sure how many you have anyway, considering you're friends with me.
Dude, my man points are in negative balance. That doesn't have anything to do with why I'm not watching Glee.
So what is it about that show that scares you so much?
It's not anything that scares me. I'm just not a fan of musicals.
Yeah, I really wasn't either, but then I really got into Rocky Horror. But actually, you know what really got me into musicals? Xena Warrior Princess. The second musical episode they did.
Yeah, which is also not something I watched. I watched Xena, but Xena and Hercules both tried to do those musical episodes. Yeah, I never bothered. No.
The second musical that Xena did. The first one was an actual sing through a traditional musical, and it was all original music, and it was actually really, really good. Because Lucy Lawless has a heck of a voice. But the second one they did, it was really campy. It was this battle of the bands, and they did all these different renditions of like 80s pop songs. Like there was they did a rocked out version of Always Something There to Remind Me, which was fantastic. It was wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. That didn't sound gay or anything.
No, it didn't. It wouldn't have sounded gay until you went, "It was fabulous."
Yeah, I will have to say, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Fabulous is by far the gayest dictionary. Because you almost can't say fabulous and not sound at least somewhat homosexual. And I had a friend who's gay. You couldn't tell. I mean, he did not scream gay at all. But when he said fabulous, you're like, oh, he sounds gay. Wow, he's a cocky gobbler there. Now there's anything wrong with that. Gobble some cock, man, if that's what you're into. All good.
Wow. Huh.
Gays. No, I have no problem with gays. I'm honorary gay. I really am. I just didn't quite earn them a toaster. But as much as I live by the mantra, do unto others, I just love picking on making fun of stereotypes, because that shit is funny, man. And if we can't make fun of each other, what good is life?
All right, well, on that note, I think we're going to take a couple of minutes of a commercial break here, folks. We're hitting the end of the first hour counting the glitch. So we will be right back.
You're listening to Finding Common Ground right here on the all-new K98 Talk.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American heroes.
Today we salute you, Mr. Footlong Hot Dog Inventor.
Mr. Footlong Hot Dog Inventor.
When conventional wisdom said no one could make a hot dog longer than 6 inches, you dared to dream.
Dared to dream.
You knew the limitations of a regular-size hot dog bun, and you ignored them.
Can't stop me now.
You made a 10-inch wiener, and people cheered.
Oh.
But you weren't satisfied. You said, wait, I think I can still give you 2 more inches.
Gotta want it.
And so the footlong was born. So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, Mr. Hot Dog Hero, because you gave every single one of us our fondest wish, a bigger wiener.
Thank you.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American heroes.
Today we salute you, Mr. Bowling Shoe Giver-Outer.
Mr. Bowling Shoe Giver-Outer.
Your tireless efforts keep our feet comfy and sanitized with mountain freshness.
Mountain freshness.
Instinctively, you match left shoe with right, carefully placing each pair in its own tiny shoe house.
Check the number on the back.
One wrong move, and we're on the fast train to Blisterville.
Oh, yeah.
Is he a 9.5 or a 10?
Yeah.
You know. Why? Because you're Mr. Bowling Shoe Giver-Outer.
We couldn't move without you.
So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, mister, and know it's no accident those shoes are red, white, and blue.
No, we couldn't move without
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
We have serious problems to solve, and we need serious people to solve them.
Republicans and Democrats working together.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. Common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
All right, folks, and we're back. Welcome to hour number 2 of Finding Common Ground. I am Double R. Dave is out of the studio for a moment taking care of a couple of things. I did want to just go over some stuff with you just to give you a general idea of what we've still got going on around here, because as you know, we've been a little bit out of pocket for the last few days. Starting tomorrow, you will hear The Family Factor featuring Denny C. starting at typically around 6 in the morning. I'm hoping, and I'll get confirmation from him in a second because I just heard him put his headset back on, that Dave plans on bringing the morning mashup back to the lineup here pretty soon. And then America Off the Rails will be rejoining its normal time, 7 in the evening. I am still trying to talk Dave into moving this one to that time slot, or something close to that time slot. So far, I'm not getting much buy-in from him. So, hit him up. Let him know.
I'm hoping to get back the morning mashup going again. This week is I actually have to be kind of early a few days, even though the library is closed this week. We're doing stuff, and I know one day I have to be there at like 9 or something, or I forget what, but we'll figure something out. I will.
So wait, how many days are you working early? And what time do you get off?
That's a good question, actually. Like 4-ish, 5-ish in the afternoon. I know it's Wednesday.
Crockpot dinners, because then we could do this show. Come on.
But my son pretty much
course he won't die.
I'm a little self-conscious about doing this when the family's around. If that sounds weird at all.
I was, until I didn't have a choice. Now I just lock him out of the room.
That's the thing, I don't have a room I can go lock myself into unless I kick myself out of his room.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
He's not having a good time in junior high. He's been so frustrated.
Now, you were the one who told me if I took this job, we could find a way to do our show at night. Uh-huh. 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 I don't want to live in your shoes. They're probably smaller than mine. No, probably not.
Facebook. This is hilarious. Some guy's got a laptop and he literally taped an apple with a white thing out of it to the laptop so it looks like it. That is great.
That's what we call a ghetto apple. Oh, man.
So, have you heard about the delays in Superman Batman?
I heard something about that the other day, but I never heard anything specific. What the heck is going on with that?
It's been pushed back to May of 2016.
In other words, it's never going to happen because we're all going to probably blow ourselves up by 2015.
It now doesn't have to go up against Avengers 2, which is good. It also doesn't have to compete with Star Wars Episode 7.
I am so afraid for Star Wars Episode 7. I really am.
I am too, especially considering, I mean, they have a year, and they haven't started filming, and I know the filming process, so it doesn't take as long as it used to be, because since now everything can be edited digitally, but still, I mean, J.J. Abrams has proved himself time and time again that he knows what he is doing, and he can put together a good film or a good television series.
Yeah, I was noticing that yesterday. Most of the shows I've really liked to watch over about the last 7 or 8 years, maybe even a little further back, have all had his name on them somewhere.
He's one of the executive producers on Revolution, even though the show itself was created by Eric Kripke, who created Supernatural.
Yeah. I think I have to get caught up on an episode of that, too.
Oh yeah, there was a that show was I forgot that I got Supernatural on my phone. Watching 18.
Too damn many, which is why you can't ever get your show done.
Hey man, it kind of is. But yeah, so they apparently pushed back Superman to Man of Steel 2, so they can fully realize the vision, which I'm glad. I don't want them to rush this thing because DC has.
DC's been behind the 8 ball for a long time as far as the movies go.
Yeah, they really have. And, as much crap as people give Green Lantern, that movie, to me, every time I watch that movie, it gets better.
I've watched that movie about 6 or 7 times. I really enjoy it. But I think what makes it different for me is that's not one of the comic books I ever followed. So I don't have any, well, that wasn't supposed to go that way, because that's not how it happened in the comic books. So,
Actually, Green Lantern's one of my all-time favorite characters, and I don't like. My complaints with it really. I mean, what they did with the villain Parallax was definitely not the way Parallax was portrayed in the comic, but it was also a really interesting way of doing it. And had they done it, followed it closer to the comic, they would have really had to have committed to a pretty long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
Which is good, but it's not anywhere near as good as the original Michael Keaton Batman movie.
See, I've never really been a Tim Burton fan, and I didn't really like. I understand everybody was like, "Ooh, this is closer to the comic books," and yada yada yada. But I never really have been a fan of how dark Burton takes everything. Just me.
Well, yeah, really though, the Christopher Nolan trilogy was much, much darker than the Tim Burton's take on Batman was. And the thing that Tim Burton's take on, especially the first movie, what he was really doing, and what the producer, Michael Ursula, I think is his last name.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's pronounced right, but that's as close as I can get it.
The take was to really bring Batman back to his dark origins, because at that point, even though it was still the late 1980s, the masses when you saw Batman, they thought of the Adam West TV series, and that for an entire generation or two, that was Batman meant to the major public. Yes, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns started to change that, but that was with people who read comics or people who read more, who actually heard about this and picked it up and read it, even though they don't normally read comics. So it was a game changer, and it helped get that movie made. But that was the first time the movie-going public, the TV-watching public, the non-comic book fan public saw Batman in his true nature, because that really was the Batman that Bob Kane created back in 1939. They really got the heart of that character, and then Christopher Nolan really, in so many ways, in Batman Begins, got the modern take of Batman and really kind of nailed it. Granted, he made it his own separate entity by firmly stating there's nothing supernatural in this world. There are no superpowers at all. And so no other superheroes exist. So the only other people who could have existed would someone like Green Arrow. Who didn't, but that would have been kind of cool. Did you hear the TV series Gotham that is Fox's going to be doing?
No, I hadn't heard about that one yet.
Yeah, so it's going to be originally it was billed as the early years of Jim Gordon and on the police force, and now the more we're hearing about it's essentially the version of Smallville.
Sweet.
Yeah, and it will lead up to the series finale being put Bruce Wayne putting on the cowl and becoming Batman.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it should be really, really good. There's one thing I will give DC credit for. They are sketchy when it comes to movies. You look at their movies, the whole gambit of the 6 Superman films, the 7 Batman films.
Oh wait, hang on. I don't mean to shut you off, but I'm gonna forget this in a minute. When you start watching Chuck, don't be surprised if in about season 3 you recognize someone. Brandon Ruth has a recurring role that whole season. I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy.
DC's got like 15 some odd films under their belt. If you count the Christopher Reeves for Superman films, of which one is considered an absolute classic. Superman 2 is considered really, really good. Superman 3, I think only a few people actually enjoyed that.
No, I liked Superman 3. Superman 2 was my favorite one of all time of the Reeves movies. 3 was good. 1 I liked, but it was kind of boring. And I was little when that one came out. So it was something I watched later and really got into. But I was like really young when that one came out. So I was still, I think, around 8 or 9 when 2 came out. which I really liked that one. And then 3 was good, and then I don't know what the hell happened in 4.
was just gone off and terrible. I mean, it wasn't Batman and Robin terrible, but it was probably Batman Forever terrible.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you've got 2 of those, one of which is universally considered awful. One of which is, I think, for the most part, considered pretty bad, even though you and I both liked it. Then you've got Superman Returns.
Well, 3 was the one with Pryor, wasn't it? Yeah.
I love Richard Pryor. So anything Richard Pryor does, I'm going to enjoy.
No, I always liked Richard Pryor. I really liked it when Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder would get together.
That was good stuff. That was good stuff. I've actually been rewatching a lot of these movies lately, and so then Superman Returns, which gets people complain about that all the time. But I rewatched it again recently, and if you truly watch that, keeping in mind either one that this is supposed to be a sequel to the first 2 Christopher Reeves films, and or it is a complete homage to those films, it's actually really good.
See, I liked Superman Returns. I think the creepiest thing the whole time I watched that movie is I'm like, this dude is practically channeling Reeves.
Yeah, it was incredible how almost creepily so much Christopher Reeve's take on Clark Kent and Superman. And I think it might have worked better had they gotten the leading actress to be somebody who didn't have a Margaret Kidder attitude toward her.
Yeah. That was the one thing that really didn't work very well for me.
The guy that got played Jimmy Olsen did a great job channeling the other dude. The guy who played Perry White did a really good job there. Kevin Spacey did a good job as Lex Luthor. I'm not a big Kevin Spacey fan.
See, I kind of am. I mean, I don't know. For me, he's kind of hit and miss. But there's like times when I really like watching him. Like I've started watching House of Cards now that I have Netflix again. That's an interesting show. It's not. I've only watched about 3 episodes so far because, like I said, I've been binge watching Chuck and Alias. Yeah, it drives my kid crazy. And the funny thing is, he was picking on me for watching Chuck. So yesterday, I was like, I've watched a lot of Chuck, so I went back and started watching Alias. Like 5 episodes into Alias, he's like, "Can we please start watching Chuck again?" Chuck's better. I'm like, no, it's not.
Alias was one of the absolute greatest television series I think ever. It was so good. Just the complexity of that show and how intricate everything was, especially across all 5 seasons. The 4th season kind of had some misses to it. So apparently the network came in and wanted to change some things and make the show less of a story and more base things more in episodes instead of having a whole arc that you're following.
Yeah, they all try that at some point. I don't know what it is. It's like they'll have one that starts out and it doesn't have a story arc, and then like 2nd or 3rd season they'll decide it needs a story arc, or they'll have one that has a story arc, and then they'll be like, not sure what we're doing this season, so we'll just do whatever.
There's some shows that do it really well, and then there's a way that you can kind of do both, where you can have kind of a little arc of the season, but each episode still has its own story.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but I know you're a fan of it too, and I can't remember what it was called. It's, God, what was the name of that show? I found it on Netflix. Yeah, there was another one too. Dang it, I can't remember the name of it. Well, it was, I can't remember the names of the actors either, but that's part of the problem. But anyway, it was, her dad was the police chief. Yeah, there we go. I kind of, at least for the first season, they did a really good job of having like an overall arc, but still had things that were accomplished in each episode. I thought they did that really well. Yeah, the dude that was her dad on that show has a recurring role on Person of Interest. He plays a bad guy. Which is the first time I've ever seen him do that, because he did Veronica Mars, and then in Canada he did an SRT show called Flashpoint, where basically he was the commander of a SWAT team in Canada, and that was pretty good. But in Person of Interest, that's the first time I've ever seen him play a bad guy. He does that really well. I saw you post something about that the other day. Whatever. It's not. Speaking of good shows on Fox, have you ever caught on to The Following? The Kevin Bacon show? The season premiere was last night. It was pretty good. Yeah, it's on Fox. Now, I could be going crazy, but is that or is that not the guy that plays Bones on the reboots? I thought so. I can't ever remember the dude's name, and I'm like, that really looks like Bones. And yet again, J.J. Abrams. Now that I didn't know. I have to go back and watch that now.
To the king that got kicked out by Motown, and I can't remember his name, but in the movies, he has blonde hair. He looks a lot like Brad Pitt.
Okay, keep talking for a second. I have to go yell at my children because they're coming out over the air.
He's a good little dude, man. I swear to God. If I was a chick, I'd be all into that action. Let's see here. So, filmography. Lord of the Rings was actually pretty early in his career. Well, he started, his first movie was in 92. Shanaka Bear. I don't even know. I don't want to know what that is. But he actually, oh wait, he did, in 90 he was on the TV show Shark in the Park. I don't know what that is. But I do remember him in Hercules and Xena the Warrior Princess. He played Julius Caesar. And he also played Cupid. And I thought he played the Archangel Michael in Xena as well. Let's see if I can find that. He's fantastic as Bones in the Star Trek films. He played Dredd, or Judge Dredd in the Dredd movie, that's a brutal damn film, man. Very good, but very brutal. And yeah, he played Caesar. I swear to God, he played the Archangel as well.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, the upside to having a USB mic, no more static. Downside, not in a soundproof studio, so if noises coming from my living room are being picked up. Yay! That's alright. They're now relegated to their room till the show's over. Because I'm the daddy. That's what she said. Now that I do remember.
I swear to God, he also played, I thought he played the Archangel Michael.
In Supernatural?
What?
Who played the... What? I'm confused. Archangel... Where?
On Xena.
I didn't realize the Archangel Michael was in Xena.
Yeah, they actually had both Xena and Hercules. The Four Horsemen arrived at one point, and Michael showed up and actually made Xena.
Wait. Doesn't that like clash a little bit?
No, I mean it's they kind of take the same way the show Supernatural does, in that all of these deities are real, and all of these supernatural beings are out there. But there's also, there's God, angels, and the devil, all that stuff. So,
Wouldn't it be freaky if that was really how it was?
yeah,
Just saying.
more interesting. Craptastic. I can't find it. Oh well.
That's what she said.
She actually did. On one occasion.
Oh, sorry. You left the shot. I had to take it. No apologies.
Oh, that's fine. I'm glad you did. I would have been,
Disappointed otherwise?
yeah, exactly. So,
So did you hear about the professor from Gilligan's Island?
I did.
That made me sad. I used to really like to watch that show when I was a kid. So, quick question. You yourself on a desert island, Ginger or Marianne?
I guess Marianne.
Really? I figure if I'm going to be on a desert island, I think I'm going to go for Ginger.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, it's always nice to freaky.
You may have point, Kimosabi.
And Ginger's probably maybe a little more experience, which so she should probably sit there and really get the God, is that it? Never know.
Yeah, but she'd have no one else to ever compare it to ever again, so eventually she'd get used to it. I never claimed to be right in the head, sir.
Certainly are.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. There was so, what's funny is a few days ago they kept hearing these news stories. I'm like, damn, I need to talk about that, or I wish I was on the show to talk about this, or something like that, blah, blah, blah. And now, I can't bring it. But yeah, there's some stuff going on in the news.
Yeah, there's been lots of stuff going on in the news. And sadly, since my connection likes to lag out, I picked a few things and already gone over most of them because I figured we'd talk about them more.
Yeah, what was there? There was, well, Chris Christie had his own, and I haven't even read up on that.
Oh, the bridge closure scandal thing? See, now here's my take on that. I mean, I honestly kind of think everybody's making a little bit bigger deal out of it than it needs to be. But at the same time, these same people that are lambasting Hillary are looking at him like, oh, this is really no big deal. All. What's going to happen when he's in charge of things that are a lot bigger? Just saying.
That's what I need to look and see what exactly is, situation is, because my understanding is there was something happened with this land closure, and
Well, basic general rundown is there was an incident, I think it was on the Washington Bridge or something. Basically, there was a lane closure that took place. Rumor has it that the lane closures occurred for multiple reasons. One, some folks were kind of irritated about something to do with a special election, and they told them they were going to support him with that. Then there was some sort of other project that he was backing as governor, and the mayor had told him he didn't want any part of that either. So apparently, at least from the stuff that's coming out now, they're starting to think that the lane closures and stuff happened as retribution for not supporting either one of those things. And I think there was something else involved in it as well, but I honestly don't remember, and I can't pull it up right now. So,
But now he claims that he didn't do it, that it was someone on his team and he fired that person.
yeah, well, they always claim it wasn't them that did it. That's like anything that breaks with the Obama administration. Oh, we didn't know about this until we saw it on the news. What? I mean, come on. That's the one thing that has made this man completely sound like a raving idiot, is anytime anything happens, I had no idea until I saw it on the news. Really? Okay, but you gotta admit, that's one of the biggest things, is, there's this big scandal breaking, and they're like, we saw the news at the same time you did. We had no idea. I mean, logically think about that for a second. You're the leader of the free world. You have access to CIA, NSA, probably other agencies we don't even know exist, and you're going to tell me you didn't know about this big international incident until you saw it on the 11 o'clock news. Not buying it.
I mean, granted, I should trust any elected official as far as I can throw them, but I mean, Christie, he always seemed at least relatively not too shady. I guess I'm wrong. He's giving the guy too much credit.
Well, not necessarily. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Like I said, I don't think this is, because the comparison that's going on right now is everybody's that doesn't like Christie is comparing this to Benghazi. I'm like, okay, it's not nearly that big. My issue with it is again, if he's going to lie about something this small, if we find out that he is lying, then what's he going to do when there are bigger issues that are going on? And not only that, I've told you my opinion of Christie, and this may come across as a little biased, especially since I am a fat guy, but I don't want somebody at a negotiating table that's going to say, no, not going to do that. Hang on, how about for a box of Twinkies? Make it 3 and we got a deal. I'm just saying. I mean, and you know me, I'm a fat kid. Honestly, I'm a little bit taller than you, but I weigh about what you weigh, so I'm pretty round.
I don't know. It's yeah. I think he's a good target. I think right now because so many people consider him a pretty big fan of 2016. But how often have people who've been considered the front runners this far out ended up damn near none of them?
Well, I mean, my thing with that is we're not even through the midterms yet, and these people are already trying to figure out who's going to be the front runner for president 2 years from now. I mean, I think we have one of the earliest primaries, and they don't even start till June. Or not, or is that the primary? I don't know. I'm confused again. Anyway, I know we have an election in June because that's when all these people that are declaring they're going to run for Coburn's seat are going to get weeded out. So
That'll be interesting because, Coburn actually, I don't really have a whole lot of. I have this kind of, I respect him, and he's a member of some fairly shady organizations in Washington that make me never able to support him. But between him and Inhofe, he's definitely the better of the two. So I'm sad to see him leave, knowing that Inhofe is going to be there until probably he dies. And then the thought of getting some jabroni like Langford to take his place, it's like, oh, great. At least Coburn had some semblance of ethics and some idea of actual terms like liberty. But you get some Andy Stater and James Langford in there, and it's just gonna be awesome.
you all right there, buddy?
Yeah.
Sounded like you were about to hurl there for a minute.
Well, it's so sad. Our elected officials are just so pathetic anymore. We have no good options, and really in this state, since we are such a one-party system in the state, and this is, I'm not saying this because I'm a Democrat, because I'm not, but it would be nice if we actually had some legitimate choices from time to time. And it would also be nice if there wasn't such a just one-size-fits-all mentality to some extent that so much of the electorate seems to have. But heck, hopefully Brad Henry will run and we can get Brad as our senator. That would be nice. Because I actually like him. He did a good job.
Yeah, I have to admit, he was better than I thought he was going to be when he got elected.
Were you as shocked as I was that he got elected?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I mean, first of all, he was going against Steve Largent, who was a complete total jackass. That guy is, of course, his whole attitude toward that whole campaign was, this is mine. Why are we even bothering? It's mine. And then apparently he said something just ridiculously stupid right at the end. And yeah, Brad, and there was the whole cockfighting bill was on the ballot. And so all those rural folks who ever vote came out to vote against that, and they all happened to be lifelong registered Democrats. And so they just happened to vote for the Democratic candidate, and Brad Henry wins. So he won on a fluke. But he won re-election so handily because he was actually really good.
Yeah. I think if not for him being governor, we probably still wouldn't have the lottery, which is kind of a mixed bag because they didn't do a damn thing they said they were going to do with the money that they're supposed to be getting from it. But at least now I can buy a ticket once in a while and hope that I'm going to hit it.
That's the thing. Lotteries never really do what they think they're going to do. When I was living in Florida, we had the lottery came up and it passed, and they talked about all this money going to education. What a lot of times what people don't realize is how much it costs to run a lottery. Because you think typically speaking, on average, how much the payout is about half of the amount of money that they've gotten in ticket sales. And a large portion of that money that comes in ticket sales also has to go, half of it goes to representatives. And then you've got, and this we're talking about like the Powerball, the big things.
Yeah.
You've got all the overhead costs, which are
That's just the way everything works anyway. If you really stop and think about it, most of the ideas that people come up with, for the most part, unless you're just a blithering idiot, sound really good on paper, and then life gets in the way. Which is kind of a tie-in to a story I happened to be browsing while you were talking. This is from The Blaze. It's a tie-in from the New York Times. White House has just reportedly delayed another key provision in the Affordable Care Act, one that prevents employers from providing better health care to top executive versus employees. According to the New York Times, tax officials said they would not enforce the provision this year because they had yet to issue regulations for employers to follow. President Barack Obama's landmark health law prohibits employers from discriminating in favor of highly compensated individuals when determining benefits or eligibility, the Times reports. But as the Times notes, translating that goal into reality has proved difficult. IRS officials reportedly are perplexed at how to define highly compensated and are not sure exactly what would qualify as discrimination. This news comes just days after the White House announced on Tuesday that it would extend the Obamacare enrollment deadline for individuals who have pre-existing conditions. Again, can we just make this thing go away?
Yeah.
The other morning when I was getting around, I heard, I was flipping through channels, and Fox had something on that was talking about Obamacare, so I stopped there. There is a report that in Ohio, before the exchanges were opened, they had approximately 30 to 35 different insurance companies that were available in that state. They're down to 12. Well, as of right now, they're not offering anything on the exchanges, which means at some point they probably will either give in once they get a way to get it revamped, or they may eventually go out of business. Nobody really knows yet. But it just seems like the same bottlenecking is kind of going on everywhere. That's one of the things I've been looking into when I have a minute here and there. I'm trying to get the numbers from most of the states as far as what insurance companies were available before Obamacare and what's available now. Because I still honestly feel that this particular legislation was designed to choke out insurance companies. Because at some point, if this trend continues, somebody's going to have to step in and clean up the mess. And how they're going to wind up probably doing that is saying, hey, we're just going to put everybody on single payer. Because then there are no insurance companies because the government's paying for everything. I can agree. Although, I'm honestly afraid at this point, no matter who we wind up with, we're probably going to be in a worse boat.
worse can it get?
Never ask that question. That's the same question everybody asked after W. How much worse could it possibly get? Oh, crap.
Yeah, but honestly, at this point, I think if had Hillary been president, she would have actually, provided some leadership. Because, I mean, really, what has this jabroni done? He's sat back on his hands. He's pointed fingers at everyone. Whenever something doesn't go his way, he blames someone else. He doesn't offer any options. It's just irritating.
I completely understand. Which is why I've been irritated with the man for a very, very long time. Sadly, I am a big fat man on a little bitty anthill trying to scream at the top of my lungs, and nobody wants to listen, so...
Yeah, we should be using that at this point.
Yeah, whatever. But you are right. Sadly.
I mean, really trying to wake up the masses to what's going on. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. It's going to have to be something major. Something is really going to have to hit the fan.
I mean, how much more major can you get, though? We've had our own agency spying on us for the last, at least 2 years that we know of? Probably longer?
Yeah, but see, the Kardashians are on TV, and we need to know what Brad and Angelina are doing, and so people are...
No, you did that wrong, sir. It's Brangelina. Get it right.
Yeah, so people are distracted. And until things just get really, really bad, where they feel it, and it is affecting their daily lives, people don't care. And to some extent, there's part that doesn't blame them. I want to shut this crap out. I do most of the time. Granted, right now, my MP3 player no longer works properly, so I can't listen to actually decent music in the car. So I've been listening to the radio more often. And when I do listen to talk radio, and I get irritated. I mean, first of all, because a lot of these hosts are idiots. Second of all, because of all the stupid, crazy crap that's going on.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the whole thing. Look at all the stupid, crazy crap that was going on while all we were talking about was Phil Robertson and Duck Dynasty. I mean, there's been attacks in Russia. There's been threats against the upcoming Olympics. One of the cities in Iraq is now completely under Al-Qaeda control again, while our president says that these people aren't really Al-Qaeda, and they're basically the JV version, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I'm just thinking, when the hell are you gonna wake up and realize that you have no flipping clue what you're talking about, and the rest of the world knows it too? Because there was a British dude, I can't remember his name, but he wrote an op-ed in one of the Britain papers and basically called him clueless. Now, he wasn't any nicer to the British PM, but he led off by saying that Obama had no idea what the United States' role should be in the world, and that he was completely clueless on foreign policy.
Well, he's right. I mean, it really is. Because it's really, really bad. It's just... And, of course, having John Kerry as our Secretary of State, I mean, we talk about that for pretty good show.
Bow, bow, down. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, sorry. Have you seen that face?
She comes into the room, especially if she's got I'm going to kill you face on. You're not going to mess with that woman. John Kerry comes into a room, it doesn't matter what face it is, you're going to laugh at him. I mean, the only thing worse probably would have been Joe Biden, Secretary of State.
Speaking of Joe Biden, is it me, or do you figure they've got him muzzled up somewhere? Because you know he's got to be really pissed off right now. Nobody's even talking about him trying to run for president, and he's been the VP for going to be the last 8 years when this election kicks off.
Because he doesn't have
Well, I understand that, but protocol usually is. If you have someone in power for 8 years, normally their VP is the one that you at least try to give the nod to. They didn't even try. They're just like, yeah, screw you, we're going with Hillary.
It's because he opens his mouth and nothing but grave stupidity comes out. And he's
Al Gore got to run.
well, I mean, Al Gore is.
He created the internet, sir.
You know, the funny thing about Al Gore is apparently, if when he wasn't on stage, he could actually be really eloquent and is a really smart guy. And just something happens to his mojo, you put a microphone in his hand or something, and he just turns into a blithering idiot. And in fact, there was something he wrote. It was either a speech he gave or something he wrote that someone sent me a few years ago, and it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was incredible, so spot on. And it was one of those things that when I was at Sprint, we had this, a group of us would talk politics and email, and he sent it out, and it was like, who said this? And he didn't want anyone to know who had said it, written it. And I was like, this is amazing. Who the hell wrote this? And it was like, Al Gore. Oh my God, where was that guy in 2000? That guy handily become president. It was so smart. I would have voted for him without thinking twice. But instead we got, Jabroni Al, and of course, Bill Bradley, who would have been a much better candidate, a much better president, was the one I voted for in the primaries, lost. And then I voted for Dubs in the election, which the only thing I regret about that is that Ralph Nader was actually on our ballot that year, so I regret the fact that I didn't vote for Ralph because I could have. Ralph Nader for president. He's got my support.
So,
Out of time.
no, I mean, we can cut it if you want, but we got as much time as you want. We can go for up to 3 hours.
Well, I do. Here in about 10 minutes, I need to get going. Just that felt like thought we'd come to a lull. But you obviously had something to say.
Well, yeah, I was looking for something that I found before the show started. I was just trying to pull it back up again. Hang on a sec. This is just another one of those examples where if we could get people that are more consumed with greed out of the way and focus on actual progress, we'd probably be a lot better off than we are.
Good luck with that.
But now I can't find it. Did he pull it off? Hang on a sec. Maybe it's because it actually wasn't one that he posted. It was one that he shared. This is something that I knew about, but I never really thought about before, and this is just a meme, but I thought it was a cool idea. Cell phones, laptops, and tablets are all made from toxic oil-based plastic. They could be made from organic, biodegradable plastic made from hemp. For those of you who don't know, Henry Ford actually made a car from hemp products. And one of the things that they found was the plastic that was hemp-based was as light as modern plastic and almost as strong as steel. So, just one of those things. I mean, if you stop and think about it, though, hemp has so many practical applications, and I think one of the reasons why it was squeezed out as handily as it was is, number one, if you'll notice, oil is used in plastic, so we wouldn't need nearly as much of it if we were using a plant to make plastic. It can be used to make fibers, and the military actually used it to make rope and clothing for a very long time, and it's stronger than the polyester crap that we use nowadays, and cheaper, but that wouldn't make money for the folks that invented polyester. So, I mean, that's like, I'm pretty sure now that the whole 3D printing thing is really starting to take off, they're gonna find ways to regulate the crap out of that, because it's gonna wind up putting a lot of things completely to the point of being obsolete.
I still don't understand 3D printing.
I'm only starting to, and only because I've been researching a little bit. They've actually learned how to 3D print human organs, which I thought was interesting.
I just don't get it. You have a ream of paper and you put it in, and so it makes an organ.
Well, no, it's not. It's not actually using paper. That part I haven't been able to figure out. I don't know where the material's coming from, but it's not paper. They can actually print fully functional weapons. It's the closest thing I can come to a replicator. And at some point, that may actually be what happens, which would make things really interesting, because we wouldn't need money for food and clothing anymore, because we'd have a machine in there that could just basically make whatever we want.
Yep, that would definitely change things.
Which is why it won't happen for at least 100 years or so. I don't know. I've just been thinking about it a lot lately, because you go back to the dude who made the car back in the 50s that could get like 70 miles to the gallon, and then you partner it with plastic made almost to the strength of steel, if it was available at that time. Just imagine how, I mean, you'd only need probably about a gallon of gas to get around for 2 or 3 days. Which is why the oil companies couldn't have none of that. I mean, I'm not opposed to anybody making money, but when you start putting you wanting to make money above the needs of everyone else, that's when I have a problem. I don't have an issue with you becoming as rich as you can possibly be, but here's my point. All you idiots that made all this money from oil, when you started finding about all these other things that could be used that would be better for us in the long run, why didn't you start taking some of that money you've made from oil and developing that stuff and continue to be making money from the new stuff? Just saying.
Yeah, but see, that would make sense. Logical, and people don't use things like logic.
The thing I have determined, now that I'm getting near to 41 years on this planet, common sense is not nearly as common as the name implies.
It's almost non-existent.
Pretty much.
And hey, there's a headline, Queen hands over the reins to Prince Charles, historic step closer to a new king.
Whoa.
A very creepy picture of Prince Charles.
Is there not a creepy picture of that dude? I don't think there is not a creepy picture of that dude. He's just creepy in general.
So what reins is she handing over? She doesn't,
I don't know, because she's probably, at this point, she's more just a figurehead. I don't really know what they do anymore other than go to events and stuff and wave their hands and pretend to jump out of an airplane for the Olympics with the star of James Bond. Although I thought that was really cool that she decided to get involved in that. During one of the opening ceremonies, or part of the opening ceremonies, when they did the Olympics in Britain, they actually green screened her and had her jumping out of a plane with the newest star of the 007 movies, and then they had a stunt double who actually jumped out of the plane.
oh, that's hilarious.
I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Especially at her age, dude, to even be like, to just go along with that at all. That doesn't seem like something that royalty would do. Alright, well, we are about to hit the 120 mark, and since you said you had other things to do, I'm gonna go pout in a corner now. Not really. Go pout in a corner. Not really. Part of it is the longer the show goes on, the more annoying the echo in my headset is, and the harder it is for me to filter it out. So there are times when I get hung up with the fact that I can hear what I'm saying coming right back into my ears. It's really annoying. Oh, another thing that I figured out, and apologies for those of you who have probably heard the show cut out a couple of the times. I've still got a little bit of a cough, and I had hoped by getting a microphone that had a mute on my side, I could mute and we wouldn't lose Dave. Apparently, we're still losing Dave. But at some point, I decided it was better to have a few seconds of dead air than it was for you to keep hearing me coughing. So, whatever. You have a strange definition of sexy. Alright, folks. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Again, this is Finding Common Ground. At some point, I'm hoping Dave and I can either find a way to start doing this one in the evenings or maybe at least on Saturdays. And I am not going to be doing an America Off the Rails today since we did this show, but it will be back on tomorrow at its normal time, unless, of course, I can convince this guy to do this show. But we shall see. Have a good one, guys.
You are now tuned into the Bush Leagues of Talk Radio, right here on the all-new K98 Talk.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
We have serious problems to solve, and we need serious people to solve them.
Republicans and Democrats working together.
It's common ground. It's common ground.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.